Hi and welcome back, my name is Emily. In this video I will create a really fun interactive card using some of Trinity Stamp's new products. I will start off here by using the Tremendous Christmas, and I will stamp this out with alcohol friendly ink. This is the Memento Tuxedo Black, and this is my go-to ink for using with Copic markers, and you can see how pretty that's stamped out. Off camera I went in, colored this in with some Copics. Here you can see that die, that interactive die called Surprise die set, and I cut some of the pieces here, and you will see that this is the main piece that we will have inside of our slider mechanism. And I will show you a mistake that I did when I created this card that I hope that you will avoid. I will just adhere this down and I will talk a little bit more about it. You can see here I will adhere it actually from the front because it was a little bit easier. This is some Nina sturdy 110 pound cardstock, and that is something I recommend for interactive cards, that it is a little bit of a sturdier one. You can see I cut this out and I laid out all my back images. These images comes from the Wonky Stitched Wilderness from Trinity Stamps. That is a previous released die set that also is in the Slimline series. So I will do some inking here, and I was thinking snow, and I wanted to have just some soft gray shadows in the snow, so I just went in a little bit of a heavier hand just to create those contrasting smudges, or what you will call it, just to have some shadows in what I was imagining was snow. So here I'm going in with some blue in the background, as well as I am taking a sponge daubler here, just using some unicorn white ink from Hero Arts, and I'm just dabbing it on top of my green trees here, and I will have them, I wanted it to look like the snow had fallen down on the trees as well, and I didn't think that that was white enough, so I also went in with my white gel pen, just making some more contrasting lines here with that marker. And I will also in the end go in and do the same thing to our Tremendous Christmas die at the top of my screen here. So when you're adhering stuff to an interactive card, you have to think about the placement. I wanted my mountains to be raised up when I am pulling the tab, so I made sure to have my heels adhered only to the down part that was below the crease, and that will act like this. If I had done it on the other side, you will see that it wouldn't have moved. It had stayed flat in the sky. So you have to be careful deciding where you want stuff to go when you are planning out interactive cards. So I know that I had some room to fill here, and I wanted to cover up the most part of my mountains because I just thought it looked a little bit weird with the mountain just ending there. So I wanted to have something to the foot of the hill here, or the mountains. So I took my trees and I will adhere them there. And I also made sure that I had visually placed my big Christmas tree here with all the animals, so that I would cover up a bit as well. So for the snow caps on my mountains, I use some glitter, white glitter cardstock, and I will now trim off the excess of our mountains because that part is actually now finished, and you can see how that looks. And here is one of the mistakes that I talked about previously. You can see that my part that will move, because this is 2 tabs, the die creates all of it. All you have to do is die cut it twice, or cut it through your die cutting machine twice. So you can see it, the first one cuts all of this, and the second one cuts this part that you will adhere to the down flap, and everything is pre-scored, so you don't have to do anything. But you could see in my die cutting machine, this actually was moved, it shifted, and I didn't realize it until now when I go to adhere it. So you can see that part was smaller. So that means that my interactive part will not run that smoothly. It wasn't that big of a deal for me. I just made the adjustments that I needed to do. But for you, if you want to recreate this card, please make sure that the die doesn't move in your die cutting machine and that everything is straight, so you don't have that problem. I think you will see in the end pictures here what I mean with everything moving. So I was a little bit lazy. When I had adhered that down, I just cut off the excess. Here you can see the die that you could create a nice finishing touch with, but I will not use it in today's video because that I actually had been needing to adhere or use before I adhered everything together. So here you can see I will now foam mount my tree on top of this, and I will you could use glue or something to all the parts because everything here will move, and you can see that the mountains also will be in the moving part there. So for my sentiment, I wanted this to keep it quite natural in the sky there, so I used the same gray ink from Lawn Fawn, just stamping that down, and I think it says joy to the world. And I took one of the really skinny strips here and I used it to the down part, just grounding my image a little bit instead of having a shadow that were cast by my images. I took this one just to ground it a little bit, and I think that works out nicely. That is something I like to do when I have cards like this. And then I will take some white, that same Hero Arts unicorn pigment ink, and do some stars in the background. They are really subtle, so if you don't want to do that, you could actually skip that part, but I really liked it. So I wanted to stamp on the inside of my panel here, and to make that a little bit easier, I just marked out where that image was on top of my Slimline card base here. And then I took a stamp set called Jingle All the Way that is really beautiful, and I inked it up with the same gray ink here from Lawn Fawn, just to make everything coordinate nicely. And I will not spend a lot of time coloring this in with Copics or something like that. You will see that I will just go in with my blending brushes from Trinity stamps and go over it with a couple of rainbow colors. But before I do that, I will remove the lines that I created, just because I don't want to cover them with ink, because then I cannot, then they will become permanent, and I really didn't want that. So you can see here, I don't even like ink up my brushes. I just use the excess that I have in my brushes. If you would do this and you don't have the brushes that you use that much, or you're better at cleaning them than me, just make sure that you have a really soft color, because I think that turned out so nicely. That rainbow that is going on to the inside, I think that is just a fun pop of color. So now I took some score tape to all the sides of my pop-up mechanism, and I made sure that everything lined up perfectly before I adhered this. And a trick that I learned, I think it was from Jennifer McGuire, is to take a Misty and line everything up in the corner, because then it can't shift. So you can see how it works, and it worked out fine. I just had one problem, since you can see, or I talked about it a little bit earlier, that my big piece here that I am touching to make the mechanism work and move was a little bit smaller. So make sure that that die doesn't shift. You can adhere it down. I usually always do that with my dies, but for some reason I didn't do it with that one. So in the next time I will. I will go in here with my white gel pen again, just clean out my images. I am quite messy when I'm using my Copic color markers, because I am just, I'm not that good at copy coloring. So I am making sure that I clean off my images and make the highlights with it. Then I took this and made a small hole. You can use a crocodile or wherever you have in your stash. I used a tool that I got off eBay a long time ago, and it worked out fine. I will take some ribbon and fibbling that through that hole, and then I will tie a string to it as well, and I will use a white and gold string just to make this a little bit more festive. And that will pretty much finish our card off. I really hope that you like this project. I know that I was a little bit fussy on the details on how I made this card move, but there is a tutorial where you can get a close-up of that die, and I will have it listed up here in the right corner if you want to see exactly how to create this interactive part. I just really love these interactive dies, and I am liking that they come in this format of a slimline, and I hope that you will as well. This stamp set, Tremendous Christmas, I hope you like that one as well. It's a lot of sentiments and fun things in that one as well if you want to check it out. All the products are listed down below, and I hope to see you soon. Until next time, have a great day. Bye!